how are you? I think you all are well at home. I welcome all of you today's online class English first paper. This is your Shakir sir is going to take a class on extract based passage. Today I am going to teach you lesson 10 unit 3. The lesson 10 is about dream. The name of the chapter, they had a dream 1. The lesson 3 is about a great woman, that is Pritilota. The very picture you can see here is a great woman in the history of Indian subcontinent. She is none but Pritilota, greatest anti-British movement activist, and she was a very brilliant student in her time. The total text is this is not the autobiography, this is a biographic and historical text. This history talks about the British colonialism in Indian subcontinent and the movement of anti-Britishers. When the British movement started, when the British came to our Indian subcontinent and captured the throne through the intrigue war against Shiraz-ud-Dawla in 1757, from the then time the British colonial rule started in our country, in our Indian subcontinent. But all the people, especially the Hindus, Muslims, Buddhists, Shantals, and all other section of people went against the Britishers and they started movement. Now let us see about the historical fact and role Pritilota made during her student lifetime. To understand the text successfully, first we have to go through the text and understand every details very minutely. Let us read the extract for your better understanding. Pritilota was born in Chittagong on May 1911. She was a meritorious student at Dr. Khastagir Government Girls High School in Chittagong and Eden College, Dhaka. She finally graduated in philosophy with distinction from Bethany College in Kolkata. In her college days, Pritilota was an activist in the anti-British movement. All through her life, she dreamed of two things: a society without gender discrimination and her motherland without British colonial rule. So she received combat training to fight against the British rule. Soon after, Pritilota became the head teacher of Nandukanan Aparnacharan School in Chittagong. Gradually, she involved herself in Surya Sen's armed resistance movement. Surya Sen was a famous anti-British movement organizer and activist in Chittagong area that time. In 1932, Surya Sen planned an attack on the Paharpul European Club. The club was well known for its notorious sign, "Dogs and Indians not allowed." Surya Sen assigned Pritilota to lead a team of 10 to 12 men to attack the club. The raid was successful, but Pritilota, dressed as a man, failed to get out of the club. She committed suicide by taking potassium cyanide to avoid arrest. She proved that women can work like men. She also proved that women too need to be prepared to sacrifice their lives for the freedom from the British colonial rule. Her dream came true. The British rule came to an end, though she could not see it during her lifetime. So, dear students, this is the text. Now let us discuss in detail again. So, Pritilata was an anti-British activist. She was working under the leadership of Surya Sen, a great organizer at that time. Pritilata was a very much meritorious student. The very word meritorious indicates the brilliancy of her student life. She was a brilliant student and she made a good result in her academic career. Whenever she graduated from Bethany College at Kolkata, she made a good result, a distinction result. She got first class first in her academic life. After having graduation, she joined as a head teacher in a school. Let us see what is the name of the school. After having graduation, Pritilata became the head teacher of Nandakanan Aparnacharan School in Chittagong. Gradually, she involved herself in Surya Sen's armed resistance movement. Get involved. That means she became the active activist, and she participated in the armed resistance movement group. This sentiment of her joining indicates that she was a great patriot from her very student life. She did not like that Indian subcontinent. She did not like that Indian subcontinent to be remain under colonial rules, because the British people did not give our political right, did not give our citizenship right, and they violated many of our rights. They only were concerned about their own self. They did not like the Indian. They treated Indians very badly, and they nursed deep hatred into their mind and heart against the Indians. The very sentiment of white supremacy can be seen whenever we see Surya Sen gave Pritilata a duty, a responsibility to blow out the Pahartoli European Club, because the club was well known for its notorious sign. Notorious means very obnoxious, ignoble, very full of hatred. The word indicates full of hatred. The club was well known for its notorious sign. What was the sign? Dogs and Indians not allowed. This very line, dear students, you have to understand very minutely. This very line bears the white supremacy against the black. That means against the Indians. Though they ruled our country, you can understand what sort of hatred the white people nursed into the deep of their heart. So, dogs and Indians not allowed. This very line also indicates why both the Hindus and Muslims went against the Britishers, that they are no more allowed to rule our country. If you go back to the history of the then time from 1757 to 1947, you can learn about the very activist, both Muslim activist, Hindus activist, Buddhist activist, and the Santal activist who went against the British, the then British rulers. You have heard the name of Titumir, you have heard the name of Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, you have heard the name of Barrister Saifuddin Kislu, Muslims, then the activist Shishu Khan. They also went against the British rulers and fought back very strongly. So, whenever Pritilata was entrusted on a duty to blow out the Pahartoli European Club, the duty was the responsibility given to Pritilata by Surya Sen. It was an assignment, it was an secret assignment to attack the club and blow out it, because the British people did not like the Indian people. Now let us say Pritilata leaded 10 to 12 men and attacked the club. The raid was successful, but Pritilata, dressed as a man, failed to get out of the club. So, unfortunately, Pritilata failed to come out after successful raid. She, with her team, made a raid, made the successful attack, but she was caught red-handed. That means she was trapped. She could not get out. But to avoid the arrest, Pritilata, that means she committed suicide by taking potassium cyanide. Potassium cyanide is a dangerous poison. If it only touches by the tongue or if it gets mixed in the blood, the man dies immediately. So, Pritilata committed suicide by taking potassium cyanide, and she did the right job. This is because if Pritilata was caught alive, the British police and the Britishers must have tortured her very severely, and perhaps Pritilata thought she might tell the secret plan about the anti-British movement or about the Surjasen's armed resistance group. She might have told about the position of the Surjasen because Surjasen could have been the brass could have been the brass leader to be caught by the Britishers. So, and if Pritilata had been caught alive, the British police could have got or could have been got more information about the anti-British movement from Pritilata. So, avoid all sorts of unexpected leakage of the information, Pritilata committed suicide. Her suicidal attitude and committing suicide also indicates what a great patriot she was and what a great role she played against the anti-British movement. So, this biography and this history also inspires the women of our country even. Pritilata sacrificing her life, Pritilata herself sacrificing her life to demolish or to drive back or to fight back the Britishers, taught Indian women that they also had a great role to play to drive back, to force back, or to fight back the Britishers from our country. So, Pritilata had two dreams. What are the two dreams? Pritilata's dreams, if we discuss Pritilata's dream, a society without gender discrimination. This was Pritilata's first dream, that both men and women in the society will be treated equally. Okay. The facilities the men get in the society, Pritilata thought equal facilities the women should get in the society as men do. This was the first dream. That means a society without gender discrimination. Her second rule, her motherland without British colonial rules. That means Indian subcontinent must be free from the Britishers. The white people don't have any right to rule the Indian subcontinent. The Indian people themselves have the right to rule their country, and this is the spirit of freedom. So, now, dear student, I think you have understood the extract very successfully. Now, let us discuss what sorts of, the words or vocabularies to be known. Meritorious, that means brilliant, good student. Graduated, taking higher education, graduation degree, with distinction from Bethany College. The very word distinction, that means distinguished. She made a distinguished result, remarkable result. That means she became first class first. Whenever she graduated from Kolkata, Dhoni College. In her college days, Pritilasa was an activist. Activist means worker. Activist means worker. Active worker. Movement. The very word movement indicates the revolution. Discrimination. The word discrimination indicates the difference between two people or between two things. Discrimination. Her motherland without British colonial rules. Colonial rules, colonialism. That started when the freedom was gone through the war against Shirazuddaulah at the Amrokanum. Receipt, took, combat, fight. Then let us see some more important vocabularies involved to get engaged in. Armed resistance movement. That means the revolution, the movement with the guns. Okay. So these are the important vocabularies we should know. Planned. That means to make a planning. Pahartoli European Club. You have to keep it in mind. Pahartoli European Club. Dogs and Indians not allowed. This very phrase is very much important. So if you get inculcated these words into your memory, then you could easily answer back the multiple choice. Now let us see what sorts of open-ended question might be set from this extract. Suppose the question setter might set, who is Pritilota? Who is Pritilota? Second question, what do you know about her education life and about her patriotic attitude? Third question, who is Surya Sen? What do you know about him? Fourth question, why did Surya Sen give Pritilota an assignment to blow out the European club? Then fourth question, what did happen when Pritilota read the club? And then fifth question, why did Pritilota committed suicide? So these sorts of questions can be set by the question setter. These sorts of questions can be asked by the question setter and you have to answer back the things. Whenever you are answering the question, I always suggest that it is better to write in your own way. You had better use the synonym of the different words. You should better avoid using the lines as it is given in the extract. Whenever you are answering the questions, if you use line by line or word by word copying, so there is high chance that you are getting less marks in the examination. And if you show your creativity in your writing, so it is definitely, it is very much clear to the examiner that you are getting good marks, and the examiner must credit you very nicely. So I suppose you have understood the text and you have understood every details, every words and word meaning. So thank you, dear student. If you have any question, you can ask me in comment box and I will answer you back. Thank you. In next class, I will discuss a lot about how to write the open-ended question answer very successfully. Stay at home safely. Thank you, dear student. Thank you very much.